Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. Today is day 2 of the 31-day makeup challenge. If you want to see how I achieve this soft glam look, just continue watching the rest of the video. So today's question is, what's my favorite brand? There's honestly so many that I can name, but as of lately it has been Makeup Forever. I do love other brands because other stuff serve their purposes, but as of late, that's what it is. Just to hydrate my face a little bit more, I'm going in with the Huda Beauty Glow Coco Hydrating Mist just to give it a little more hydration. This is optional. You don't have to do that step yet, but I like to use that before adding any primer or foundation to my face. And as I stated before in a previous video, this foundation is a little darker than my skin tone, but once you do your highlight and everything else, it will lighten up a bit. And as you can see, I didn't put that much product. I just needed only a little bit, and then I will add more later when needed. And as you just seen, I went in again with that Glow Coco Hydrating Mist just to give it a little more hydration. And honestly, just looking at this, it doesn't look as dark as it did before. Maybe because I only used a little bit this time, but it is still a tad bit darker than my skin tone. But the shade before this, which will be the 420, is a little bit light, so I'd rather go with a darker shade so I can lighten it up versus a lighter shade, because you won't be able to darken it up. I chose to go in with a concealer that is a little closer to my foundation shade or my skin tone instead of an orange corrector, because I wanted to be able to cover up those bags with it looking more natural than orange. And I'm doing this before going in with a lighter concealer. Now I'm just going to take a brush and buff that out a little bit. I find that it's a little easier to do this with a brush versus doing it with a sponge, because the sponge takes away most of that product, and I want as much product on my face as possible. Now this concealer is very light. You want to always choose a concealer that is 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. I only use this one because I got it for free and it's a sample size, so why not use it? But honestly, it's not that bad as long as you blend it out correctly. I did not have any flashback with using this shade. I didn't look like Casper or anything like that. Again, I'm going to buff this out with that same brush, and as you can see, once I buff this out, it kind of blended perfectly, versus if I was to use a beauty blender, most of that product would have been taken off and soaked into the sponge. And I'm going to blend the rest of this out with a sponge before going in with my setting powder. Now with this step that I'm about to show you, it is optional. You don't have to do it. I just chose to do it because it's basically giving me that extra powder to my face, like setting in my makeup without having to later on go in with another powder, which you can honestly if you want to. And now I'm about to go in with a bronzer. I use a bronzer to contour because all of the contour shades that I have found have literally been my skin tone color, so it didn't make any sense for me to use it because it didn't do anything. It looked like I just did nothing basically. And now I'm just going to take a brush and dust all of that powder away. And another trick that you can use if the powder is too light still is grab another powder that's closer to your skin tone to dust away that powder, and it won't leave that little white shadow cast. Even though there is no product left on my foundation brush, I'm just taking that to blend out that bronzer some. And as you can see on my forehead, I kind of overdid it with the bronzer, but later on, once I remove all the powder and everything else, everything will come together. Now for the eyeshadow, I am going to go in with that dark burgundy shade, and I'm going to use that as a transition color, as well as do a deep outer V. And I am just taking that and doing little small circular motions, some back and forth motions. And now I'm going to take that eyeshadow palette and use that to make the V part more crisp. You can use, eyeshadow tape, but they don't sell that here in the UAE, at least nowhere that I've looked. And an easy trick to cutting the crease and so that those shadows won't show, if you plan on putting any other color on, it won't show through the concealer, is just to take a Q-tip and add some makeup remover to it to cut your crease. Now I'm just cutting my crease in basically it's already kind of pre-cut due to me using the Q-tip and the makeup remover, and I'm just taking my time to make sure that I get that line as crisp as I need it to be, and just do patting motions and a little bit of sweeping motions at the same time, just to make sure that everything is being blended out before moving on to the next step. For most of the time that I do my cut crease, whatever is that back color, outer V shade, I always go back in with that shade just to kind of blend that out a little bit more around the crease area. Now I'm going in with my second shade, which is that lighter pink color. That color you can use as a transition color and then add your red on top. But I thought it was going to show a little bit different, but it didn't. But it ended up working out at the end, as you've seen at the beginning of the video. And I'm going to switch back into that red shade just so I can make sure that those two colors are blended together. You basically want those colors to transition from one shade to the next without having such a harsh line. Yes, the point of a cut crease is to have a harsh line, but you still want everything to come together. Now for my third and final shade, I am taking that reddish glitter shade in the center, and I'm just popping that at the end. Basically, it's kind of like I'm doing a colorful eyeliner, but I'm just adding that to that end part and making that blend back into that outer V, so when I go to add on my regular eyeliner, that everything flows together. Now here goes my liquid eyeliner, and I start off by outlining as close to my lash line as I possibly can, and then I make that line at the outer V. and get that as straight as possible. And then I make another line at the top, and then I go in and fill in what needs to be filled in later. I find it easy to get as close to my lash line as possible first and then do the V. Sometimes I do the V, and every time I try to do it different, it don't come out right. So do what works for you. Just like I always say, what works for me may not work for you, just like what worked for you may not work for me. Once you are satisfied with how that looks, go ahead and dust away any powder. And as you can see, I focused on one eye at a time just in case I wanted to change something up. I don't have to, go back in. And once dusting that powder away from under my eyes, I am going to have to go in with another powder that's similar to my skin tone. Just to get that powder away so it don't leave a white cast, because the powder it's translucent, but at the same token it is white. So you just want to make sure that you dust away any of that powder. And then I continued on that side to blend out that bronzer so that everything will flow together on that side. Again, just so if I needed to make any changes, that was the time to do so. Now I'm going to repeat everything that I did on the opposite side on this eye. So enjoy the rest of the video, and I will be back shortly. I almost forgot to contour my nose and I highlighted first, but highlighting first kind of made it a little easy so I can make sure that those lines are perfectly crisp before moving on. I can't believe I almost forgot to do my mascara. Mascara is my favorite part. I'm going in with a lash primer just so it can help me separate those lashes a little bit so that the mascara won't look so clumpy. And this also will help your lashes appear longer. I really didn't need it for that purpose. I just wanted them to like separate my lashes a little bit. Now I'm going to go in with my regular mascara, and as you can see, I went over the top first just so when I do it the regular way that white won't be just sitting on top and everything won't be coated. And I also do a bunch of different motions just to make sure that every lash is evenly coated. Now to set my face, I am going to set it with that Huda Beauty Glow Coco Hydrating Mist, just so everything can sit. And I wanted my makeup to be dewy because I do have dry skin, so I still want it to be hydrated. Now as far as my hair goes, I'm not going to do anything special to it because it is 4 in the morning. I'm not going anywhere, so I'm not going to add any products. Just going to comb it into the style I want it to be in. Hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also turn on those post notification bells so you don't miss whenever I post another video. Have a nice day. And this video is pre-recorded, and as you guys can see, I was having way too much fun at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was listening to Christmas music.